Wake up in the morning, you open your eyes, and boom, you see your bedroom.
Right. It's just instant.
Yeah. Light hits your retinas, the optic nerve sends an electrical signal to the brain, and the image just renders.
Like a machine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We treat it like this super straightforward transaction. I mean, science has spent a long time convincing us that we are basically meat machines, just passively downloading data from the world.
Mm-hmm. Which is a completely flawed assumption.
Right. And today, we are tearing that assumption down to the studs. For this deep dive, we're looking at Maurice Merleau-Ponty's monumental text, Phenomenology of Perception.
Such a fascinating read. Dense, but revolutionary.
Oh, incredibly dense. But the research here proves that your brain isn't just like downloading reality, it is actively painting it. So our mission today is to completely dismantle how you think you see, hear, and feel the world around you.
We're really pulling the rug out from under the listener today.
We absolutely are. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because, where do we even begin to dismantle the idea that we are just biological cameras?
Well, we start by throwing away the microscope. We have to return to the things themselves.
The things themselves.
Yeah, that's Merleau-Ponty's core mission. We have to look at the world exactly as we live it, in the raw. Like, before we let chemistry or geometry or these neat little physiological equations explain our experience away.
Okay, so dropping the textbook definitions.
Exactly. To truly understand how we perceive, we have to destroy the most common sense assumption we have. We have to kill the myth that our senses receive, like pure, raw data from the outside world.
Okay, wait, when you say pure raw data, you mean like a single point of red light or a single beep of sound? Like the building blocks of an image.
That's the assumption, yeah. Classical psychology argues that perception starts with this atomic, dot-like impact of a physical stimulus on a nerve.
Like a single photon hitting the eye.
Right. And you get a tiny, isolated sensation. Then your brain adds millions of these together to form a picture. But Merleau-Ponty argues that this pure sensation is a complete myth.
A myth.
A total post hoc scientific invention. I mean, in our actual living experience, we never encounter a pure sensation isolated from a context.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, you don't see a single dot of red. You see a red patch on a woven carpet illuminated by a specific shadow in the specific room. The perceptual something is always in the middle of something else. It's a whole field.
But wait, let me push back on this, though. Because if I think about my eyes like a digital camera, the sensor just records the pixels exactly as they are objectively presented, right?
Well, that's what we're taught to believe.
Right, because the lens takes in the light, the grid of pixels registers the specific color and brightness values, and, that's physics. Are you saying my optic nerve doesn't actually receive those objective pixels?
What's fascinating here is that it's actually weirder than that. The visual field isn't a grid of pixels at all.
It's not.
No, it's not a flat mathematical space. It's a zone of meaning. Think about the famous Miller-Lyer optical illusion.
Oh, is that the one with the two horizontal lines?
Yeah, two lines of exactly equal length. One line has arrows at the ends pointing inward, and the other has arrows pointing outward.
Oh, yeah, I know that one. The line with the outward pointing arrows always looks substantially longer.
Exactly. Now, if your eyes were truly just digital cameras passively receiving raw data, those two lines would look exactly equal.
Because the physical light hitting the retina is identical.
Right. The raw data is the same, but they don't look equal. Merleau-Ponty points out that the lines aren't just mismeasured by the brain, they become structurally different in your vision.
Wait, structurally different?
Yeah. The line itself changes its character because it's woven into a whole new context with those arrows. The arrows pointing outward create an expansive visual pull.
Oh, wow.
The body doesn't just rigidly copy the external world like a scanner, it meets the world halfway. It actively composes reality based on the context and the meaning of the whole shape.
Okay, well, if my eyes aren't just a passive camera, I feel like the most logical backup theory is memory. Well, if the raw data is fuzzy or altered, my brain must be playing Photoshop, right? Pulling from my mental hard drive of past experiences to basically fill in the blanks and make the lines make sense.
Yeah, that is the classic empiricist view, the projection of memories theory.
Right.
It assumes the data we get from the world is patchy, so memory must be the glue holding the world together.
Okay, because I was reading the notes on this, and there's this wild story about a beach that completely threw me off.
Oh, the ship on the dune.
Yes. Merleau-Ponty describes walking along a beach near a sand dune. And in the distance, you're looking at what seems to be a dark forest bordering the sand.
Right, just ambiguous shapes.
Yeah, you're looking at these shapes, and they're just trees. until suddenly you get closer and the shapes just snap into focus. Instantly, the forest vanishes, and you realize you were actually looking at the masts and the funnel of a grounded ship.
It's a great example. Now, the traditional empiricist looks at that story and says, you only recognize the ship because your brain took those ambiguous visual stimuli, scanned your mental archives, and associated the shapes with past memories of ships.
Like you remembered a ship, so you projected that memory onto the beach to make sense of the blur.
Exactly. But Merleau-Ponty entirely rejects this explanation.
But why, though? It feels so intuitive. Like, if memory isn't stepping in to organize those shapes, what is?
Well, think about it. For a memory to even be triggered, the visual data on the beach had to spontaneously organize itself into a cohesive structure first.
Oh, I see.
Gestalt psychology calls this a good form. Merleau-Ponty uses the term immanent tension.
Immanent tension. That sounds intense.
It means the shapes pull themselves together into a coherent whole in your visual field before you even realize what you're looking at. If the visual field was just a chaotic jumble of brown and black pixels, why would it summon the memory of a ship instead of like a house or a dark cloud?
Oh, because the structure has to present itself first to invite the memory.
Precisely.
Okay, that reminds me of the illusion of the proofreader from the text.
Yes, that's a perfect parallel.
Like when you're reading a book and the page actually says the word destruction, but because of the context of the sentence, you clearly read the word deduction. You literally see a D that is not there.
And the empiricist would say your memory projected the missing D onto the page?
Right. But Merleau-Ponty counters that the memory doesn't project the missing letter, does he?
No. He says the present shape of the word, its structural physiognomy on the page, spontaneously dictates the meaning we see.
Physiognomy.
Think of it like the face or the posture of the word. A word has a distinct shape that hits you all at once before you read the individual letters. The organization of the present moment drives perception, not the past.
Man, here's where it gets really interesting. Because I was trying to think of an analogy for this. It's like looking at clouds.
Oh, I like that.
When I'm lying on the grass looking at a cloud, and I suddenly see a face in it, I didn't get there by sequentially scanning a mental Rolodex of human faces and trying to project them one by one onto the water vapor.
Right, that would take forever.
Exactly. The cloud has to already organize itself into a structure that looks enough like a face to draw that recognition out of me. The structure of the cloud comes first.
That is a brilliant way to put it. To perceive is not to remember.
Wow.
And the emotional and cultural world we live in operates the exact same way. Seeing anger in a friend's face or feeling a sense of dread in a dreary landscape isn't just us projecting our past feelings onto a blank canvas of meat and geography.
It's actually there.
That meaning is intrinsically there in the phenomenal field. You read the anger in a posture just as directly as you see the color of their shirt.
All right, so the camera theory is dead. Memory isn't the architect. What is left is my conscious, logical brain just working in the background like a manager, doing the math to figure out the world.
Like a little scientist in your head.
Yeah. Does my intellect swoop in to organize the chaos?
You're describing intellectualism. This is the realm of thinkers like René Descartes.
Me, I think, therefore I am guy.
That's the one. Descartes famously analyzed a piece of wax. He noted that when it's cold, it's hard. It makes a specific sound. When you tap it, it has a certain shape.
Right.
But bring it near a fire and it melts. The shape changes, the sound changes, the color changes. All the sensory data is completely different.
But logically, I know it's still the exact same piece of wax.
Exactly. Descartes argued that because the sensory data changed completely, but we still know it's the same wax, we don't actually see the wax. We judge it to be wax using our logical intellect.
I mean, that sort of makes sense.
Think about looking at a cube from an angle. You only actually see a few distorted trapezoids. Intellectualists argue your intellect swoops in, does some rapid geometry, and judges that you are looking at a uniform 3D cube.
But based on everything we've covered, Merleau-Ponty's going to argue against that too, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely. He argues that perception happens way, way before judgment. Judgment is a secondary reflective act. Perception is our primary contact with the world.
Okay.
He brings up the illusion of the moon on the horizon to prove this.
I love this example. When the moon is low on the horizon, just coming up over the trees, it looks absolutely massive.
Yeah.
Like a giant glowing orb.
Just huge, yeah.
But when it's high up in the sky, it looks small.
Now, if you look at that massive horizon moon through a cardboard tube, blocking out the landscape, it instantly shrinks down to its normal size.
Okay, I have to pause you there and defend the intellect for a second.
Go for it.
if my intellect isn't judging the moon's size, how do I know it's an illusion the second I look through the cardboard tube? Something in my brain is doing the math and realizing the size didn't change. Otherwise, I'd still be fooled when I take the tube away.
Well, your intellect, your logical judgment, absolutely knows the moon hasn't physically expanded in space. You know the math, but the moment you take the cardboard tube away, free vision still sees the moon as massive. Your logical judgment cannot override the perceptual field. You can tell yourself it's small all day long, but your eyes will stubbornly insist it is huge.
Oh. So the perception defies the logic. It just doesn't care about my math.
Which proves intellection and judgment are not running perception. What is actually shaping our experience is the mechanism of attention. But attention here isn't a spotlight illuminating things that are already sitting there in the dark.
What is it then?
Attention creates a new articulation.
Wait, what does that mean, a new articulation? How does attention create something?
Take psychological studies on infants. At first, infants don't see specific colors like red, blue, or green. They only distinguish globally between warm shades and cold shades.
Oh, really? Just warm and cold?
Yeah. It's only through the act of attention, over time, that they eventually articulate and carve out specific colors from that vague background. Attention doesn't just reveal the color green, it actively carves a new dimension of experience into being. It breaks the world down into finer and finer structures.
That leaves me with a massive question, though.
What's that?
If memory isn't the director and logic isn't doing the math, what is actually triggering these shifts? Like, how do the parts communicate? If the landscape makes the moon look huge, but it's not a mathematical calculation, what connects the landscape to the moon?
Merleau-Ponty argues that phenomena in our visual field are connected by motivation, not by a mechanical cause and effect.
Motivation. Like a psychological desire to see something?
Not quite. He calls it an operative reason inherent in the world.
Okay, you lost me.
To put it simply, the environment naturally suggests how it should be interacted with. A certain visual layout motivates an illusion. It invites it.
Oh, I see.
Think of it like a melody. The first few notes of a song don't physically cause the final resolution in a mechanical way, like a cue ball hitting an 8-ball. But those first notes motivate a specific musical resolution. They set up an expectation.
Ah, okay. So the horizon doesn't logically calculate the size of the moon. It motivates the appearance of an enormous moon.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it means rationality isn't a rigid grid our minds force over the world. Rationality emerges naturally from our lived experience.
Okay, but if the world is suggesting these meanings, setting up these expectations, what is the instrument I'm using to read them? If I am this active composer, what am I actually composing with?
That brings us to the ultimate source of our perception, the true director of the movie.
Who is it?
It's the physical living body, but not the body as a machine made of levers and pulleys, the body as our inescapable anchor in reality.
I was absolutely stunned by a passage in the notes regarding how the body reads the world. Merleau-Ponty talks about looking at a wooden wheel.
Yes, the heavy cartwheel.
Right. If you see a wooden wheel just resting on the ground, it looks fundamentally visually different to your eyes than a wheel that is bearing a heavy load. And I'm thinking, how can bearing a load change the raw visual data hitting your retina?
It's incredible.
He says it's because we feel the weight with our own bodies, through our vision. Our eyes aren't just light receptors. They belong to a heavy, fleshy body that knows what physical strain feels like. We look at the loaded wheel, and our body empathizes with the tension. We literally see the weight.
Because vision is already inhabited by a meaning that gives it a function in our existence. The ultimate, undeniable proof of this deep bodily entanglement is a condition called anosognosia and the phenomenon of the phantom limb.
Anosognosia. Wait, that's when someone has a paralyzed limb, but they completely refuse to acknowledge the paralysis, right?
Yeah, yes. The patient might have a completely paralyzed right arm, but if you ask them to hand you an object with their right hand, they will offer their left, entirely ignoring the dysfunction.
Wow.
Sometimes they'll even describe their paralyzed arm as an alien object, like a long, cold snake lying in the bed next to them.
That is deeply unsettling. But how does that connect to a phantom limb? A phantom limb is when an amputee continues to feel the presence of a leg or an arm that's been surgically removed. But isn't that just a severed nerve misfiring and sending a false physical signal to the brain?
Well, the classical physiologist argues exactly that. It's just mechanical misfiring. But that purely physical explanation fails.
Why does it fail?
Because a phantom limb can shrink, change shape, or disappear entirely, depending on the patient's emotional acceptance of their injury. If a patient experiences a deep psychological shift and accepts the loss, the physical sensation of the limb vanishes. A severed nerve misfiring wouldn't care about your emotional state.
Right, so then the psychologist steps in and says, see, it's not physical, it's just a hallucination, a memory, a psychological denial.
But the purely psychological explanation fails too.
Real?
Yeah. If a surgeon severs the sensory nerve pathways to the brain, the phantom limb instantly disappears. So it is inextricably tied to the physical biology, but it is also governed by the patient's emotional history. It defies both the meat machine explanation and the pure mental hallucination explanation.
I'm struggling with this. If it isn't just physical, and it isn't just mental, what actually is it? How does Merleau-Ponty explain the mechanism here?
He says the phantom limb is an ambivalent presence. Perception isn't happening just in the brain. It is happening in the physical interaction between the environment and the body's capabilities.
Okay.
The phantom limb exists because the amputee refuses to let go of their practical world. The world they live in still features staircases that demand 2 legs to climb. It has doors that demand 2 hands to open. The amputee leans into these projects.
So what does this all mean? The physical environment is literally pulling the sensation of the leg out of them.
This raises an important question about how we exist. The amputee's physical body is geared into an environment that demands that leg. So long as they are trying to engage with a world of 2-legged tasks, the world pulls at the leg and the sensation remains.
That's wild.
The body isn't just an object occupying space, it is our way of having a world. This is what Merleau-Ponty calls being in the world.
Oh, that clarifies an analogy in the text I was wrestling with. He mentions an insect that gets one of its legs tied up or cut off.
Yes, the beetle.
Right. Instantly, without skipping a beat, it substitutes another leg to keep walking.
Right.
It isn't sitting there logically thinking about a new walking strategy. It just has this undeniable biological drive to complete its task in the world. Its perception of its own body changes the second the environment demands a new way of moving.
Because the insect is geared towards its environment, we don't just think about the world from a safe distance. We project our environment, and our environment pulls at us.
Like the amputee.
Exactly. The amputee's world is still pulling at a leg that is no longer physically there, but remains existentially there because the world still requires it.
It is like the body is the ultimate translator between the physical universe and the realm of meaning.
Mm-hmm.
You are not a camera passively recording light pixels.
Yeah.
You are not a walking hard drive, desperately projecting old memories onto ambiguous shapes on a beach to make sense of them. And you certainly aren't a cold, calculating logic machine overriding your senses with pure geometry.
You are a living, breathing body, inextricably woven into the fabric of the world, and your perception is a creative, continuous act.
Every single time you walk down a street, your body is actively composing the reality around you. You are the reason shapes snap into focus. You are the reason the heavy wheel looks heavy. Your body turns raw, meaningless space into meaningful places, pulling your future projects and your past experiences into the present moment just by looking at a room.
Because you are an active composer, the world you perceive is infinitely rich. It doesn't exist entirely independent of you, but it isn't a mere hallucination either. It is a constant, ongoing dialogue.
A constant dialogue. I love that. We've spent this deep dive tearing down the idea that you were just a passive observer, but Merleau-Ponty takes this one step further, and I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to mull over.
Oh, this is a good one.
Next time you're in a crowded room, a coffee shop, a meeting, a party, look at the objects around you. According to this text, every object is a mirror of all the others. A house is seen from the perspective of the chimney, the table, the walls. When you look at a simple coffee cup on a table, it is already crisscrossed by the unseen perspectives of everyone else in that room.
It's all connected.
You aren't just sharing physical space with people. Your very reality, the exact dimensions and meaning of that coffee cup, is being co-authored by their unseen gazes interacting with your own. You wake up, open your eyes, and the world isn't a static picture waiting for your camera lens. It is a living, breathing masterpiece that you and everyone around you are painting together in real time. How does that change the way you step into a room tomorrow? Keep questioning what you think you see.